Hariom, dear students. Let's start our third poem in English literature, that is A Tiger in the Zoo. Hope children, most of you have visited zoo. So what kind of environment you might have seen there? Many animals just sitting in their den or a kettle, whatever the place where they are in, and as well as many birds, beautiful birds and different kinds of animals you might have seen. And one more thing you might have observed, there is some few animals might be very lazy, isn't it? Definitely, because as they are away from their natural habitat in the in the sense a place where they like to live. So these animals which are kept in zoo, they were taken away from their natural habitat and they are kept here. So that's why they might have not liked to move here and there and be an active part in their life. So now in this poem we are going to discuss about especially the animal called tiger and also two contrast ways of tiger. That is one, it is when it is in a natural habitat. What is the natural habitat of tiger? Definitely it's a forest, isn't it? So when it is in forest, how it is, and as well as when it is in zoo, how it will be. So there are really two different ways, two contrast ways of living, tiger in the zoo and as well as tiger in the forest. So in this poem we are going to discuss about that. Hope you will follow with me, and also do read the poem twice before entering into the poet of this poem is Leslie Norris. You can see the picture of Leslie Norris here. He is a poet and he was born on 21st May 1921. It is his date of birth, and he was a prize-winning Welsh poet and as well as a story writer. That means he was a very good poet and story writer, and he was also an academician, not only a writer but also an academician, that he has taught at many academic institutions in Britain and as well as in United States, and including in the University of Brigham Young University. So these are the different places where he has taught different teachings. Like he was a good academician and he taught in academic institutions like Britain and United States and even the University of Brigham. Okay, and he is considered as one of the most Welsh writers of the post-war period. Like we had a Second World War, isn't it? So after the Second World War, what had happened? So he had written many beautiful stories about this post-World War period, and also his literary publications have won many prizes. He has won many prizes for his literary publications, and now our poem is one of his writings. Hope you have understood it, children. And especially here when we speak about our poem, that is A Tiger in the Zoo, as I have already told you that it was written by Leslie Norris and it was published in the year of 1938. When was it published? In the year of 1938, children, A Tiger in the Zoo, this poem was published. And especially here this poem, it talks or it explains about the misery in the sense the sadness and helplessness. It talks about the misery and helplessness of a caged tiger in the sense a tiger which is kept inside the cage. So it talks about the misery and helplessness of a caged tiger inside a zoo, and also it talks about the kind of life what the tiger would have had. Like if it is not in cage, what kind of a life the tiger might have had. So now it is here in zoo. If it is not there here, where it would have been? it would have been in the forest, isn't it? So here this poem also talks about the life of the tiger, what it would have been, and also it had spoken about the freeness of a tiger, how it could have just been roaming in the jungle. So here this poem it discusses about the misery and helplessness of the caged tiger and also the free life of the tiger in the forest. Okay, and also the most important thing here is it highlights the sad plight of the wild animals whom human beings capture for fun and money. It's true, children, just for sake of fun or money, we the human beings, what we do, just we capture the wild animals and keep in our control, and we just take away their freedom and all happiness of their these kind of wild animals especially. So here this poem talks about all these things. Yeah, as I have already told you that this poem deals with totally two different ways of tiger's life. That is, it is totally a contrast, a tiger in the zoo with a tiger in its natural habitat. Two different ways of a tiger's life. One is a tiger life in zoo and the other is tiger life in its natural habitat. What is natural habitat here? Forest, isn't it? So the poem here it totally moves from jungle to zoo, zoo to jungle. So from in one stanza the poet will be discussing about the tiger in zoo, and immediately he will move to jungle. The jungle in the sense it is nothing but a forest, and again he will come back to the zoo. So first we should know clearly about what the poet is speaking here, whether he is speaking about the tiger in the zoo or tiger in the forest, that is its natural habitat. Then only we can clearly understand the poem, children. See here, it is a picture of a tiger in the where forest, yeah, and here it is a picture of a tiger which is in zoo. So in this way, if you clearly know this tiger and its what do we call way of behaving both in tiger in this zoo and as well as the forest, then you can easily understand. So for that, first what you have to do is read the poem silently, and then first you just analyze yourself which stanza is speaking about the tiger in the zoo and which stanza is speaking about the tiger in the jungle. Just to put a tick mark. So first read the poem, total poem silently, and then what you do is just tick the poem and tick the stanza, which stanza is speaking about the tiger in the zoo and which stanza is speaking about the tiger in the forest. Then you can easily understand and follow me in this poem. Okay, children, hope you will do it definitely. Do read the poem with me, children. First stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet white in his quiet rage. So in here, in this first stanza, the poet is speaking about tiger in the zoo. Yes. And coming to the next stanza here, he should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where plum deer pass. So here the poet is speaking about which tiger? The tiger in the forest. Yes. So here is the third stanza. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. So in third stanza also, here the poet is speaking about the tiger in the forest itself. Okay? But he is locked in concrete cells, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. So here in the fourth stanza, the Poet is speaking about the tiger in the zoo. And coming to the last stanza here, he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So here the poet is speaking about the tiger in the zoo itself. So if you have a clear idea, children, so here in the first stanza he is speaking about the tiger in the zoo, and in second and third he is speaking about the tiger in the forest. Okay, so here in the second and as well as third stanza he is speaking about the tiger in the zoo, forest, and again in fourth and as well as fifth, in this fourth and fifth he is talking about the tiger in the zoo itself. Hope you have got a clear idea about the poet's ideology here. Okay, children. Before entering into this explanation part of the poem, children, let us know the rhyme of this poem. Okay, let's know what is the rhythm of the poem. We have already discussed about the previous poems in the regular class, like A, B, B, C, or A, B, A, A, B, B. By basing on the ending letters, how the poet have analyzed and written this poem. So here, if you see the rhyme of this poem, it is A, B, C, B. What is the rhyme, children? A, B, C, B. So throughout the poem, how many stanzas are there? They will be following the same pattern like A, B, C, B. A in the sense here, see children, stripes, cage, quiet, range. So here, second and the last lines of the stanzas, ending words will be the same. Like see, cage, rage. They will be of a same pronunciation, rhyming, same together, cage, rage. So here the rhyme of the first stanza is A, B, C, B. Stripes, cage, quiet, rage. Cage, rage are the rhyming words here. And if you see in the second stanza also the same, shadow, grass, whole, pass. So here grass, pass are the rhyming words, and both of them are of the same pronunciation with the same rhyme, isn't it? So here also the same rhyming scheme is there, A, B, C, B. And if you go with the third stanza also it's the same, houses, sledge, claws, village. So here second line last word and fourth line last word, sledge, village rhyme together. So houses, sledge, claws, village, it follows the same rhyme scheme, A, B, C, D. Okay, so hope you are following, children. Yeah, and coming to the fourth stanza here, cell, bars, cage, visitors. So here so it's in the fourth stanza, if you see bars, visitors, they rhyme together. And coming to the last stanza here, night, cars, eyes, stars. So here cars and stars rhyme together. So if you see overall poem, they follow the same rhyme scheme, that is A, B, C, B. The ending words will be in the same pattern with the same rhyming scheme. Okay, children, hope you have understood this rhyme scheme of our poem Tiger in the Zoo. Let us start our poem, children, here. The first stanza, he stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. So before entering into this explanation part, let us know the vocabulary here. Stalks, he stalks. He stalks in the sense walks slowly. See, I have even given the meanings here. He stalks. Stalks in the sense walks very slowly in his vivid stripes. Vivid in the sense clear stripes. Here the tiger, if you see, they have a lot of stripes on the body, isn't it? So the tiger, he walks very slowly in his clear stripes which were there on the body. You can observe here the tiger is walking very slowly with his vivid stripes, and the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet. Here few steps of his cage. Just it has come out, out of the cage, very few steps, very little distance. It just moved on the pads of velvet quite. Velvet in the sense of soft. We see in the zoo almost they maintain good greenery and they'll be having a velvety grass. So here the tiger is walking. Just it had come out of the cage and then it is just moving around the cage in the velvet grass with its stripes, and as well as it is walking very slowly in his quiet rage. Rage in the sense anger. Okay, so finally here the tiger, it has just come out of its cage and it is walking slowly with its striped body and also with its pads. What do you mean by pads here, children? Feet. Okay, so the tiger, it had come out of the cage and it is walking very slowly with its pads and stripes on the body very happily. No, very angrily. Why the tiger is angry here? Let us see why the tiger is angry here. Hope you have understood this stanza, children. The tiger, it had come out of its cage and it is moving very slowly with its pads on the velvety grass with the stripes on its body very angrily. See how beautifully the poet described the tiger here. Okay, and it had walked only few steps, very few steps. In the previous stanza, it was walking very slowly from its cage very angrily, isn't it? Now let us see. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. So here let us see the meanings here. Lurking. Lurking means hiding. So what do you mean by lurking? Lurking in the sense hiding, and sliding. Sliding in the sense moving. Children, see, I have even given the meanings here. Sliding in the sense moving, and water hole. Water hole is nothing but a river where all the animals come to drink water. And the next word is plump deer. Plump deer in the sense a young deer. Okay, so now here he should be lurking in a shadow. That means in the forest the tiger might be hiding somewhere in the shadow. Why tiger hides? Is it afraid of anything? That just to save itself? Definitely not. Am I right, children? Tiger hides itself for saving his own life? No, for hunting, isn't it? So here the tiger, he should be lurking in shadow in the sense probably the tiger might be hiding in a shadow, sliding through the long grass, moving through the long grass, moving back of long grass, hiding himself near the water hole. That means near the river. Why at the river? Because many animals will be coming there for drinking water, na? So it will be easy for tiger to hunt an animal. Where plump deer pass. So where plump deer in the sense where young deer come. So here the tiger might be, see here you can see the tigers drinking water in a water hole and as well as waiting very eagerly for the deers to come on. Okay, so the tigers might be hiding, lurking in a shadow, hiding in a shadow behind the grasses, moving very slowly at the rivers, and probably they might be waiting for the young deers to pass on. For what? To make friendship with them or to play with them? No. For what then? To hunt, isn't it? Yeah, so the tigers are waiting or hiding themselves in the water at the edge of the river in the grass for the waiting for the deer here. Okay, he should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, bearing his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Yeah, it is another ray of or other side of a tiger, you can say. So he should be snarling. Snarling in a sense, children. What do you mean by snarling? It is nothing but showing its teeth. See the tiger here, how terrified it is, how what do we call, it is really fearful, isn't it, to see the tiger in this position. See, it is showing its teeth very fearfully, isn't it? So he should be snarling around the houses. It should be moving around the houses by snarling, showing its teeth, and as well as a grunting. And at the jungle's edge, is that it will come into villages? No, at the end of the jungle's edge, in the sense border of the forest, it just comes there and it snarls, like shouts angrily. Okay, baring his white fangs, his claws, baring in the sense showing white teeth and nails, terrorizing the village, frightening the village. So it frightens everybody around. Okay, the tiger in the forest, what it does? It hunts. It makes people frightened, and it makes them terrorized, terrified. Okay, it doesn't be cool, calm like the tiger in the zoo. So here the tiger in the forest, he should be snarling around the houses at the edge of the forest. So where the forest border is there, it will be coming to the towards the border of the forest, and it will be shouting, showing its teeth and claws, and making everyone around the village frightened or afraid of tiger. So in this way here, the tiger in the forest, it will be hiding in the grass at the water body and waiting for hunting, or it goes to the edges of the forest, and it makes the people frightened by shouting or snarling, showing its teeth and grunting loudly. So in this way, this is the lifestyle of the tiger in the forest. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring the visitors. See the total different contrast life of the tiger in the zoo here, concrete in the sense cemented, but he is locked in a concrete cell. It's true, na children. The tiger, it was very free in the forest, and it does whatever it likes. Just it sleeps when it is tired, and it hunts when it is hungry, and also it lives a very free life, isn't it? But here in the zoo, he is locked in a concrete cell in the sense cemented cell, the cell which is built with a cement, and his strength behind the bars, total his strength, his anger, his power of hunting, and everything is behind the bars. He can't go out of the bars and do whatever he wants, isn't it? And stalking the length of his cage, just moving here and there, uh, just whatever the length, just talking in a sense, we have already discussed the meaning of talking in the first stanza, moving very slowly. Just he moves very slowly towards from this end to the other end of his cage, isn't it? Just he walks around his cage, ignoring visitors. Just he don't even like to have a look at the visitors. So it was so boring life to the tiger. He is just locked in the concrete cell. Cell in the sense here, children, what? Cage. Okay, he is locked in the concrete cage and his total strength is being locked in the cage itself, and he walks very slowly from here to there in the cage, and he never likes to pay interest towards the visitor whoever comes to see him. So it is a really very different kind of a life when it is compared to the life of a tiger in its natural habitat, isn't it, children? Yeah. Yeah. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So, how the day of the lion is ended in the zoo, children? He just hears the last voice during night, especially when before going to sleep. What he hears the last voice of the patrolling cars. Like no vehicles move from one place to the other, patrolling in the sense the police or the guards, they move in the vehicles to check each and everything like about the protection of the animals in the zoo. So these patrolling cars, they'll be moving here and there in the zoo at night especially. So he hears that voice, the last voice at night was the patrolling cars he hears, and he just goes to its den and lay down and it just looks at the stars. He stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Brilliant in the sense here, not very intelligent children, bright and colorful or glorious. So the tiger, it just sleeps in its cage. You just see here the tiger, it just hears the voice of the patrolling cars at nights, and also hears, looks at the or stares at the brilliant stars in the night. So in this way, here the tiger in the zoo, it spends its day. Throughout the day, it moves here and there with its soft on the velvety grass. It never likes to have a look at its visitors. And whatever the food, whenever they feel hungry, the food is given by the zoo gods itself, and everything is provided, and it is so boring life to them. And in the night also, it just listens to the patrolling cars, and as well as it just looks at the brilliant stars, that is colorful stars, and it sleeps. So in this way, the life of these tigers in the zoo is totally different from the life of the tigers in the forest, because in the forest they hide, they hunt, and they play, they roar, they snore, they frighten the people. So it is totally free. All its strength is shown, its anger is shown, its happiness is shown, whereas the life in the zoo is totally different for the tiger. Hope you have understood, children. Yeah, coming to the summary of this poem, children. So here the tiger in the zoo, it walks in its limited space. We have already discussed here, so you can easily understand, children. So the tiger in the zoo walks in the limited space provided in it in the cage. It takes few steps. There are stripes on its body which are quite prominent. Its paws are soft like velvet. No noise is produced when it walks on its pads of velvet. The tiger is silent but in rage. So here the tiger in the zoo, it walks in the limited space which is provided in the cage itself, and it walks with very few steps with its striped body, and which is very prominent or noticeable, and its paws are also very soft. Paws in the sense the feet of the tiger here, children, it is so soft and velvet, and no noise is produced by the tiger when it is walking on the pads of velvet, like no, on the green grass which is like a velvet. But here you have to notice one thing, that it is silent but it is in rage. That means it is in anger. Okay, and the tiger here, it should not be in the zoo, isn't it? So the cage is not the proper place for the tiger. That is what here the poet feels. It is not its natural habitat. What do you mean by natural habitat, children? We have already discussed that natural habitat is a place where the animals live naturally and they, with all its good life, they like to live happily there, appropriate place to live in. So here the zoo is not the natural habitat of the tiger, and the tiger in the cage is a victim of human cruelty. Definitely, children, because of our cruelty we have bought the tigers and we have kept them in the zoo, and usually tigers are found sitting under some bushes or long grass near the stream or a water hole. Generally in the forest, if you see, tigers are most probably found near the water bodies, that is a stream of water or like a flow of water or the river bodies. And as soon as they see their prey like deer coming there to drink, they slide silently through the grass and kill them. The poet wants to convey to us that this tiger should be there in the forest in where it is its natural habitat. So generally the tigers, they stay near the water streams or water bodies, and they'll be hiding themselves and waiting for their prey or the deer, prey in the sense hunting animal for food. They'll be waiting, and there definitely when this prey or the deer or some other animals comes, they definitely hunt and have their food. They definitely kill them from the grass. They come and they attack and they kill the animals and then they eat it. And here that actually that was the natural way of living of a tiger is. And here the poet, he says that the tiger should be kept in the forest, not in the zoo. And especially, children, in the second stanza a poetic device is used, and the lines lurking in shadow, that is hiding in shadow, it is a word created for the picturization of some danger. For some danger is going to come for the animals, some danger is hovering for animals, in the sense some danger is going to come for the animals, and also the animals which is going to come there for drinking water. Lurking in shadow itself is saying that you can easily say no that a tiger is hiding in shadow, but no, here the poet didn't use that. He used lurking in shadow. It's a poetic device where it is showing that some danger is there. Definitely some danger is being for the animals who is going to come there for drinking water. And there are some other words also here, just like no sliding through or plump deer. These are also some phrases which show such kind of a meanings. Okay, children. The poet here, he also gives a further suggestions that he proceeds further, giving another suggestion that the tiger should be sitting at the jungle's edge in the close vicinity of the village. So here he says that in the he said that these tigers probably they'll be sitting at the water bodies and hunting the animals. And another idea of a tiger's life in the forest is they'll be sitting in the forest border, and that is jungle's edge, in the close vicinity where they can see the village clearly. They'll be sitting there, and it should be terrorizing the people passing that way by showing its sharp teeth bearing its claws. So when it is sitting at this forest edge, children, from there it might be frightening the people or terrorizing the people by showing its sharp teeth and making the people frighten a lot and run away. So in this way it will be showing its anger. This is also one of the way of tiger in the forest. And in the next stanza here, the poet expressed a deep sympathy for the animals, especially the tigers here. Because see, in this stanza, the poet expressed a deep sympathy at the plight or the unpleasant situation of the tiger that is imprisoned in a cell made by the concrete. Concrete here in the sense mixed material of a cement, sand, small pieces of the stone and the water, and he cannot come out of it, isn't it? The tiger cannot come out of it because the strong bars are fixed at the concrete cell to stop him. So here the tiger is totally locked up in the concrete cell, where concrete cell in the sense a cement cell, where it cannot come out of that cage. Cell in the sense it is not like no normal cell where the thieves are kept. No, it's a cage here. Imagine itself as a cage where the tigers are kept, and it cannot come out of that cage because it is built so strongly that it cannot come out of this concrete cell. Thus the poet says that the tiger's strength is locked behind the bars. That's why the poet said that the tiger's strength is locked in the concrete cell, because it cannot come out of that concrete cell. And the tiger shows no interest in looking at the visitors, rather he keeps on stacking, walking in an angry and proud manner in the limited space of anger. So because of that feeling, here the tiger, it never shows any interest, or it never pays any interest towards the visitors, and it always walks very slowly in the cage and very angrily also. Okay, children. Again here, the poet, he takes us back into the tiger's life in the cage. So see here, the poet again takes the reader to the cage where the tiger is sitting in the cage, feeling unpleasant and restless. So here again he takes us back to the cage where the tiger is sitting very helplessly, very sadly and unpleasantly, because all its strength and everything is locked behind this concrete cage, isn't it? So here he sits there very silently, and he hears the sound created by the patrolling cars of the zoo authorities. So he listens to the voice of these patrolling vehicles, and also he never shows interest in anything, nothing. He never just looks at the visitors or the vehicles, nothing. And he'll be just staring at these stars. The poet, he's just saying that the tiger is looking or staring at the shining stars with its beautiful or brilliant eyes. So in this way, the tiger in the zoo, it never pays interest to anything because of its disgusting life. It's disgusting life. It is leading disgusting life because of the human cruelty. Children, you should understand that. Who made the lion to be in the zoo? We humans, isn't it? Whereas the tigers in the forest, they live very happy life. They lead a very beautiful life according to their interest, but not according to our interest, isn't it? This is the different, totally two contrast ways of the life. So thus the poet ends up at the point where it had started. So here, children, what he intends is, he raises a moral issue here. He intends to present a strong case against the cruelty on animals which are kept in cages. Definitely we should not be very cruel to animals and keep them in cages and treat them so unlawful. Hope you have understood this poem, children. Hope you have understood this poem, children. If you have any doubts, please contact us so that we can rectify your doubts. Okay. Hari Om. Thank you.